Good morning, everyone. My name's John Thompson. I'm the Director of Communications and Stakeholder Engagement of the Victorian Building Authority. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered today. I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past and present. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's conference, titled Modern Regulatory Practice, the VBA as a Risk-Based Regulator. I'm also excited to welcome Professor Malcolm Sparrow, who's going to be with us for the day. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Owen Donald, Chief Commissioner of the VBA, Commissioner Carmel Coate, and our invited guests. The panel will be answering questions this afternoon. If you have a question for the panel during the day, and enter the event code #MRPConference19. From there you can submit a question or vote for a question you'd like answered. Good. Thanks to each of you for coming today. We're very lucky to have Professor Malcolm Sparrow with us to present a program on risk-based regulation and modern regulatory practice. To begin with, I'd like to welcome Chairman of the Victorian Building Authority, Dr. Owen Donald, to the stage to officially welcome you here. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Owen Donald.
Thank you, John. Can I too acknowledge the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri people and people of the Kulin Nation more generally. Pay my respects to their elders past and present, and my best wishes to emerging leaders. There are a lot of people here today. The people I want to acknowledge first are, of course, the staff of the VBA. Many of you feeling pressed and pressured. All of you are and need to be, particularly at this time, very hard working. And I've got to tell you that what I've seen in my 2 and a bit years here now has been a very substantial effort and a very big lift in the way the VBA is working. Which of course leads me to my second acknowledgement, which is to the CEO, Sue Eddy. Acknowledge Stan Crepan, CEO of Sustainability Victoria, Catherine Myers, CEO of the Victorian Commission for Gambling and Liquor Regulation. I also acknowledge John Merritt, if he's made it yet, and a number of other eminent and invited guests. I acknowledge my own colleagues as well, the board of the VBA and those who are here. I know that Carmel and Kelly were to be here. I thought that Brian was as well, but I haven't seen him yet. In any event, you are all very welcome, and I'm very pleased to be able to open this conference. Now let me just introduce you to Malcolm Sparrow. I hope all of you have read the profile that came with the documentation for today's event, so I'm not going to read it. I'll just say inventor, mathematician, policeman, sportsman, academic, and a regulator through and through in theory and in practice. He is now the Professor of Practice at the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, and he's head of the Executive Program Strategic Management of Regulatory and Enforcement Agencies. Yep, that's us. I've met Malcolm Sparrow early last year at a much more generalised version of this event, run by ANZOG, Australian New Zealand School of Government, at an event in Canberra. It didn't take me very long to realise that Malcolm had a lot to say to us, because he has a firm grasp of the role of government and the role of regulators, and has thought and practised long and hard in the fulfilment of that role, and as you'll no doubt hear, in a number of many and varied regulatory challenges, and drawn those threads together. We've got a lot to learn. Fundamentally, he draws our attention to the fundamental purpose of our being. And what is that? It is, when we focus on it, about customers and the public. It's focused on the minimisation of harm. Now, when I first came and thought about the VBA and looked at the role of the chair and thought, maybe, I wish I could do that again. And I looked hard at the government guidance and our own publicity, our annual reports and so on. The minimisation of harm, especially of outcomes to the public, was actually not the principal focus. I'd come from the National Housing Supply Council, which I chaired for several years, which was focusing on removing regulatory barriers to the efficiency of the housing industry in order to get more housing more quickly across a broader spectrum of the population. And when I looked at the VBA's role, and I even looked at looking at the Minister's statement of expectations, I saw a lot of commonality. I saw working with the industry, not in itself a bad thing, but I saw working with the industry, maintaining the strength of an industry or industries that generate something in the vicinity of 12 to 14% of state gross product. I saw affordability. I saw high levels of production, maintaining the productivity of the economy and ensuring the provision of infrastructure as really key objectives. And what was right up front? Deregulation. So it was no surprise to me to see what I thought was, at that stage at least, the principal role of the regulator. Now, I've been a regulator before, so I've thought a little bit about this, and it did, when I thought about it, trouble me. What a difference a La Crosse, a Grenfell, an Opal Tower, a Neo T200, a plane crash, a conflagration. What a difference that makes. It focuses our minds. These events, especially the horrendous Grenfell Tower fire in London, have sharpened everyone's focus on safety. No harm, minimisation of harm to consumers, to residents, owners, of course, firemen, emergency workers generally, tradespeople, and the general public. It's actually not such a dramatic change of purpose. It's a sharpening and a reprioritisation, but it does have enormous implications for what we do and how we do it. How we work with industry, how we protect consumers. The minimisation of harm, life, health, economic and environmental harm is our fundamental focus. And that's what we're here to talk about. Risk-based. Risk-based. What risks? How harmful? How do we redress? What do we prioritise? These are key questions for us today. So I'm going to leave you in the very, very good hands of Professor Malcolm Sparrow. I thank you for your attention and I wish this conference every success. I'll be here for every minute of it.